Celeb Savant, Barrett Edelstein. We are at Solid Gold Podcasts in Randburg, and today I'm interviewing
Hanna. I was like, is that me?
Yes, that's you.
That's me.
So Hanna,
Yes.
tell us, let's rewind. At what age did you realize or feel cool you want to be in the music entertainment world, and how did that journey progress to where we are currently?
Okay, wow. It was quite late. I would say 20, I was probably like 2020, I think. I actually thought and decided that I never wanted to be in the music industry. I loved music and I loved making it, but I was like, this is probably going to be a nightmare and I don't want to do it. And then, I got to UCT for my first degree, and I started posting videos on social media, essentially, of me rapping, and they just started taking off. And then at that point, I was kind of like, okay, well, I think I'm getting some traction, and I feel like this is like a sign, you know? And as much as I thought I didn't want to do this, I feel like I'm getting a lot more support than a lot of people that have been putting in effort for a long time have. And I was like, I have to honor this support. I have to honor this this message or whatever this is. And that's kind of how I got into it. And so from then on, I entered a few competitions. I entered one, which was in 2019, called Empower Africa by Mr. Easy. It was basically a talent search on social media, and they gave grants to 100 artists to do music videos. And I was lucky enough to be chosen for that. I was number 95. So at that point, I was like, this is not happening for me. And then after that, I also entered a competition called Lift As You Rise, which was Red Bull with Torax Records, which is Nasty C's record label. And they picked 11 winners, and I was also one of those 11 winners. And then boom, that kind of just continuously gave me more traction, and I just decided to ride the momentum, and here we are now.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what were the inclinations for you to enter those competitions? Was it just a thing like, okay, I want to see where this goes and see if I get anywhere, or was there other inspirations for you to enter?
Honestly, I think for the first one, it was definitely the fact that all my musical peers were entering and winning. And I was like, oh, yeah, so this is a family thing. I can definitely enter this and I think it'll go well. And then I was surprised with, I was met with just silence. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe not. So that at that point, it was that. And then for the second competition, funny enough, the person who recorded my single as a winner for the first competition, Empower, happened to be one of the biggest producers in SA. He made a couple of songs for Nasty C, and he told me that there was a competition coming up, and he's like, I think you'd be a really great fit for this. And he was really, really pushing me to do it, and I was just like, I don't want to do another competition. Why would I do two? That's pushing it. And he really was adamant that, look, just do it. You never know what would happen. And I did it, and I won. And I was like, you were onto something. Yeah, so at those 2 points, that was kind of it. I'm actually competition averse. I don't like competitions at all, but it worked out.
From 0 to 3 to 4 minutes in creating a song, a rap, a story, a creative. Is it easy every time? What motivates it? What invigorates it? Let's unpack your creative brain.
Okay. Is it easy all the time? Absolutely not. Sometimes it's completely natural. Sometimes it feels like second nature. And those times are great. Most of the time, it's hard, especially I think lately. I think the more that I've done it, the more in my head I get about creating stuff. So normally when I'm creating a song, I will start off with whatever the production I have is. People send me beat packs or whatever, and I'll just start off by just freestyling, reading off whatever ideas I have, and just keep the recording button on. And then I'll just pick from there. When I say something that I feel like has potential to spawn into more, I'll pick that out and then build on that. And that can either take a few minutes or it can take days, months, depending on the idea and depending on, I just guess the creative process is always just up and down. So that's normally how I do it. I rarely ever intentionally write a song that's about something specific and start off being oh, I'm going to write a song called this about this.
Yes.
It's usually just the song idea and concept kind of come up as I'm recording and as I'm writing. And then I decide at the end oh, this is the overall general message of this. Yeah.
Okay, so now why do you feel that you've gotten more in your head the more you've done?
Ooh.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's just a pressure thing. You think that it becomes easy and that you get more loose. I think I started off only writing verses, and that's a very different world to writing songs. And so in the beginning, I was very, very good at writing. I mean, I think I would just flow. Every time I wrote anything, I could just write. Whether or not I would like it was a different story. And then when I started making songs, I got taught how to freestyle and what we call punching in, which is like, recording line by line and just letting ideas flow quickly, but while you're recording. And so I think when I got into that world, going back to like sitting down and trying to write something in the long form, like in long format, became very difficult for me. So yeah, and I think it's just also a matter of, you're thinking about the concept, you're thinking about whether things sound corny. When you're looking at the entire concept as a whole, it's very easy to get in your head about what the finished product is going to look like. And I think that for me took me a few steps backwards and made me second guess a lot. And I feel like with music, you really just have to like lean into whatever you're doing and let it kind of be trash or not. And then, you can refine from there. But I think it's been a journey of trying to figure out what works for me and how to navigate that kind of hesitation that happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just about getting out of your own way.
Really, it is. Yeah, definitely.
And you referenced earlier that sometimes songs take a couple of minutes, sometimes it takes a couple of weeks, couple of months, and it's harder.
Yeah.
So when it's taking a couple of months or a few months and it's harder, do you ever like, okay, this is not happening and throw it away, or do you keep pushing until you get something?
It's a mixture. Usually what happens is I forget about the idea completely. And then like months later, I'll be on my laptop like, oh, what is this? What is this? And I'm like, oh, this was great. Why didn't I like it the first time I made it? Like, I hated this when I first made it. And then, sometimes it's also just time that allows me to look back on something and be like, oh, wow, this is actually good. I don't know why I thought it was so corny or whatever the hesitation was at that time. So yeah, I think some songs do get scrapped. Some songs just do get put on hold for a while, And I think it's just a matter of being able to remember that they exist and come back to them at some point. Sometimes you're also just not in the same place that you were when you were making it. So the content is not as accessible to you as it was at that point. And then it does kind of just die a natural death. So it's a mixture. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about your latest releases. What are out? What's happening now?
Yes.
And what's happening in the short term and long term?
Okay. My latest release is called Guilt Free. It's my brand new EP. I'm so glad it's out. It came out on the 17th of May.
# drop the mic.
Yes. It's a 5-track EP. It's my favorite project to date. I think it's the best music I've ever made. And I think a lot of people agree with me on that. And I'm very excited for people to listen to it. We recently also just did a show in Cape Town. I just came from Cape Town. We did like a little live version launch of the EP where I just performed the music live, which was really fun. Just a cool new way to like reimagine it for people, which I hope to do more of. Like right now, my plan is really just touring, shows, performing, making new music. There's new music in the pipeline for release. I think consistency is like very important to me now. And, now that I'm done with like school, I've got the time and I can really, put my weight behind, being consistent and really, really trying to continuously build on the momentum that's happening. So yeah, so far it's that. It's just trying to plan a lot of shows, get opportunities where I can, be as visible as possible, do press, which is really, really fun to do because I never got to do this because I always have an exam or a test or something and I'd be like, I hate this degree. But now I'm done with it. And yeah. That's really the long and short of it.
So what were you studying?
I started off studying engineering and then electrical engineering actually. And I was like, this sucks. And then I was like, okay, what sucks less? Computer science. And that's what I ended up finishing.
Okay.
And that's what I graduated with.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you referenced performing live. So tell us, what do you enjoy about that?
I enjoy talking. I can talk forever. If you let me, this episode will be 3 hours long. So I really enjoy just being able to tell stories. And I think giving context to some of the music really, really makes it hit different. I think people enjoy it very differently when they understand what your interpretation, where I was coming from when I was making it. And so it's just fun to be able to do that. And I think it's fun to just like connect with people, connect with live energy. Sitting behind a mic is a very boring experience. It can be very tedious. It's just you and this little shield in front of it.
Yeah.
But when you get to connect with people and see how people respond to it, I think it just makes it all worth it. I think that's really like the the real like gold of like making music and being an artist. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got a point of discussion and debate around this, which I have
okay.
with a lot of artists.
Okay.
So I'm around that guy right in front, doing my thing, dancing. I'll take my phone out to take 1 or 2 videos, 1 or 2 photos, and then I put it away.
Yes.
I notice a lot of people around me have their cell phones out for 60, 70, even 80% of the time, tweeting, posting, WhatsApping, or whatever they're doing. And you mentioned connection to the people. Do you not find that those people having their phones out for a lot of the time it takes away from that connection, or it's just where society is at the moment?
I mean, I think both are true at the same time. I think definitely it's where we're at the moment. It does take away from it a bit. What I try to do sometimes is I try to actually like speak directly to people sometimes. You know, we break away from the show and we can actually have a conversation about like, what are you drinking? Or like, you know, have a conversation so people actually move their phone out of their face and they'll be like, oh, yeah, like whatever, and answer the question. I wouldn't say that it's something that bothers me. I do know that it's a real thing. And as someone who's also been behind my phone at a concert, I also know that I'm never going to look at that video. Like that video gets recorded and it dies. It lives and dies in that moment. So I think it's a balance. But I also think, you know, when you're making an effort to engage with people at shows and you're not just running through a set list as well, I think it can help get people more into what you're doing. Yeah. Not to say that like, you know, this is because of people's performance style or whatever, but yeah, I found that it helps for me and people will tend to like put their phone away at some point.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I saw Westlife, I think it was...
Oh, love them.
So good. So good. End of last year. Yeah, it was November 2023.
Okay.
And it was all seated, but like a whole bunch of us were standing. And there was a dude in front sitting on his cell phone texting the whole time. And Nikki actually stopped, or while he was busy, said, dude, why are you texting the whole time?
Yeah.
Why don't you just put your phone down? Do you actually want to be here?
Fair enough.
And he called this dude out, and I would have loved to see his face, because it's like, seriously, why be there if you don't want to be there?
Yeah, true. You know what I also think it is? I think social anxiety is a real thing. I think a lot of people, I mean, for some people who like go to events alone and stuff, phones are a crutch. Yes. You know, and they will like eventually be on their phone at some point because they just don't, they you know, engaging with everything outside can be overwhelming. So I think that might also be an aspect of it. But I get it because it's like you come to a concert and you're on your phone and you're texting the whole time. If it's like 1 or 2 texts, that's fine. You know, maybe he just got caught in like a bad moment where like everyone paid attention to him while he was on his phone. But yeah, I think there's a balance to it. Yeah. It's okay to be on your phone at some point, check in with people, take videos, post, tweet about it. But maybe that's a blogger. Maybe that was their whole job. They're like, this sucks, whatever they're saying on their phone. Like live tweeting from the event. Who knows?
Okay, so now I love me a CD.
Yes.
I love the aesthetic of the holding of the something. I love the journey of the choice, the receiving, the unpacking, the booklets, the pictures, the listening from song 1 to whatever number. I'm not sure if you're aware that CDs, cassettes, even cassettes, can you believe, and vinyls are making a massive comeback. Last year alone in the UK, 5.9 million vinyls sold, the biggest since 1990.
Jeez, wow.
CDs on an upward trajectory again, and a cassette again. Not as great a upward connection, but they're going upwards. But we've also got these streaming platforms where people consume music on. What are your observations and perceptions of where the landscape is at the moment?
I think, you know, the idea of an artist has changed. You know, I think we started off with like these giant superstars who are like very inaccessible. Social media completely changed the game. Streaming changed the game as well. Like in terms of the relevance of like physical CDs or just physical music. I do think I understand why they're making a comeback. People want, like, fans are very invested in their relationships with artists, you know, and the connection and finding some way to connect. I think having a physical memento is really important to people. They want to be able to hold on to something. And I also just think the aesthetic of like the 90s, the 80s, just that era is coming back as well, even in fashion. So I think this old school aesthetic of like having a record player, like that's the new cool. Like no one really, like you can plug your phone into Spotify and play it, and like we love to use Spotify. This is no shade. But yeah, I've noticed that there's been a resurgence in like that aesthetic generally, and people are very invested in aesthetics as well. So my interpretation of where things are going now, I think streaming won't die. Streaming will stay there because it's probably the cheapest way to consume music at this point in time. But yeah, I definitely do see. I mean, everyone is kind of pushing physical merchandise, physical CDs, do vinyls, do booklets, as you said, even like cassette tapes. I mean, even if it's just for the aesthetic of it and people are not actually going to play it, that's definitely, it's on the rise. I don't know how big it's going to get, but I think it's also lovely because that's how artists make their money.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
And it's like, great, people want to now invest in buying physical things. Amazing. Lovely for us. We love to see it. I think it's going to be pretty exciting to also just now get into that world as well, because a lot of artists now have never had to deal with CDs or cassettes or even thinking about branding in that sense. So yeah, I think, who knows? I mean, you know, people and the world is like this right now. But yeah, I think it's probably going to be a mixture of both at some point. So I think it's going to become kind of 50-50. Yeah.
It's interesting because I was living overseas and I came back and I wanted to get a new CD player last year. And everyone was like, there's no way you're going to find a CD player anyway. There's no way. So I went into Takealot.
Yeah.
I was hoping for one good quality one.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. There were hundreds to choose from.
Wow.
So I had to narrow it down and narrow it down again. So I got my CD player. Love it. So cool. But now the most fascinating thing is that I've got my Spotify playlist because I teach spinning classes. So I prep for that on that.
Awesome.
So the same song on the same machine, listening to on Spotify, compared to listening to that song on the CD. The CD sounds like I'm in a stadium with the sound quality that's pristine.
Yeah.
And the digital platform sounds like muted and flat and dull. And there's no energy behind it. So for the people that have not yet, who are listening, have not chosen to try the physical experience and listen to it.
Yeah.
A challenge to you, do so and then feel the experience between listening to that compared to listening to it on the streaming platform.
Definitely. I mean, just like the physics of how the music is stored, it's always going to sound better in physical form. You know, there's so much more space. It just goes down to like the compression of it. When you're putting it on Spotify and Apple Music and all of these platforms, it's getting made as small as possible. You know what I mean? It's all about, people want to be able to stream things easily, so it needs to be as small as possible in terms of size. And you can only store so much, you know, the quality goes down when you do that, basically. Yeah. So I mean, I've never actually listened to music. I mean, I've listened to music on a CD player because I'm not that young. But vinyl, I haven't. But I've heard such great things about it. I've always heard people saying that it just sounds so much better. Yeah. It sounds like it just has character to it, whereas it does sound kind of lifeless when you're putting it on streaming platforms. Yeah. So who knows? Maybe we're going back. Like you said, Takealot is cooking with the CD players. Yeah. Is it one of the ones you plug headphones into, or is it like a DVD?
Can't use it. Like a big thing with massive speakers on either side.
Oh, one of those?
Like one of those.
Okay, yeah, one of the old, like I know exactly, because the like houses still have them. Yeah, with the big speakers.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's so cool.
Okay, cool.
But I mean, like now in the UK, the HMV, so they originally closed the main HMV in Oxford Street because of vinyls and everything going down. Last year, they reopened it again because of the massive uptake of physical again.
Nice.
And another interesting thing is that in the UK, they use certain products for the inflation rate. They put these products in the basket to see how to gauge the inflation rate of certain, for different things.
Okay.
And CDs are going to be put back into that basket because of the uptick on them. Vinyl's already there, and CDs are going to be put back into that basket of products that they gauge the inflation rate on.
That's really cool. So what you're trying to tell me is I need to go start burning CDs. I'm going to get one of those old laptops and start... We used to have to do it at some point, like all of the old DVDs, like CDs. That used to be the only way to listen to things before like MP3s.
Yeah.
Guys, I promise you, I'm not that young, but I'm not that old.
Okay, so I love this game.
Yes.
I know if I had to ask this question 2 minutes, 5 years, 5 minutes, 50 years.
Yes.
I know your answer will be different every time because there are millions of them. I understand that and I recognize that. I'm not saying favorite. I'm saying top of mind.
Yes.
If you had to push play to 5 songs by other artists once we finish this conversation, what would those 5 songs be and by whom?
Ooh, is this just like generally my favorite music to listen to right now?
Yeah. Top of mind. It doesn't have to be favorite. Oh, my top 5 favorite songs. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like coming from the ether, I'm going to play this, that, and that.
Okay. I'm going to play, firstly, Next to You by Kehlani. She just put it out. Amazing. After Hours by Kehlani as well, because I'm obsessed with Kehlani. Okay, that's a lot of Kehlani. What else would I play? What am I listening to? I would play Shut Up by Jessie Reyes. Also a really, really, really great song. Obsessed with her. 5. Number 4.
This is genuine. Starts getting hard.
It does. It is, right? Because it's like those are the 3 songs I've been playing on repeat. I would play BS by Janae Aiko, the remix featuring Kehlani. As you can see, there's a theme here. And then, dang, what would the last one be? I need to put some hip hop in there. I'll probably play. Yeah, I don't even know if I've got 5 songs that I'm listening to at the moment. I would say honorable mention number 4. Let's throw in Mick Jenkins' Spread Love.
There we go.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice mix.
Thank you.
Need to add some of those to mine, so thank you.
Listen, thank me later. You're going to listen. Get the CDs. Put them on the thing. Let me know. Let me know.
So the podcast is listened to throughout the world. As a final message, what would you like to say?
As a final message, my new EP, Guilt Free, is out now. It's a beautiful project about self-love, self-preservation, the guilt that we experience in life. It's a feel-good project. I would love for you to go listen to it. Let me know what you think. You can find me on social media at The Real Niggist. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, even streaming platforms. And yeah, connect. Hit me up. I would love to talk to you, and I would love to hear your thoughts.
So guys, as Hanna says, connect on social media, reach out, listen to the music. It's guilt-free, so you're going to love it. This is Celeb Savant, signing out.
Another production from Solid Gold Podcasts.